for people like you to digest. And I'll be honest, you seem to chew it over a lot longer than most people. But I'm reminded of a story. This is a kind of a sad story. It was a funeral for Bruce Springsteen's cousin, and he was a great guy named Lenny. And Bruce was up there telling a story, and he said that his cousin Lenny came up to him and said, "Yo, boss, hey man, I gotta know, does Outlaw Pete die or live at the end of the song?" And Bruce said the same thing. "You know, Lenny, I leave that up to the readers or the listeners' interpretation." I did a review of the movie The Wrestler, and I did it for Slate.com, but I was also interviewed by New York Magazine, and they asked me if I thought it was a depressing movie. I said, you know, I couldn't help but feel that things might actually turn around for Randy the Ram, that his relationship with his daughter was not irreparably harmed, and that he might get together with Marissa Tomei at some point. And the writer said, "I think he died." And so when I wrote my review, I said, then again, I thought that Alan Ladd was just really sleepy at the end of Shane. So it's all up to the reader's interpretation, and I want you to interpret as much, as thoroughly as you possibly can. Thank you. Are there any other wrestlers who showed up? No? Okay. Thank you for your support, man. I really appreciate that. That's cool. All right. Yeah. He does deserve a title shot, right? All right. Yes, people have different interpretations of what hardcore is. And Terry Funk said to me, and this gives me a chance to do one of my other two decent imitations, "Cactus, being hardcore is not about garbage cans and thumbtacks." You bastard. No, he said that it was about giving people, going above and beyond the call of duty to give people their money's worth. So, in my interpretation, this young man is hardcore. So, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. All right. Man. And let me say, you know, this is where I will ask Jeff to be our bad guy, because we'll have, like, what, time for maybe 3 more questions? And so I'll let you pick the 3. And all I'm saying is, if it gets down to the last one, and you're still raising your hand, it means you think you have a better question than everybody else. So I'm going to let Jeff do this, okay?
How about this guy here?
Okay.
You've written 4 autobiographies, 2 novels, 3 children's books. Between all the travel you have to do on tour and having to raise your family, how do you find time for writing? What is your process?
My process for writing? Let me see, I didn't know when I wrote the first one that authors had a place they usually went to write. You know, I just knew I had 50 days to write 60,000 words, and 50 days later I handed in 200,000 words written by hand. So I was just writing wherever I happened to be, you know, in the locker room, on airplanes. Even when I had knee surgery, I had said, you know, I can't really have any kind of pain medicine because I need to start writing as soon as I come out of surgery. And the lady said, "You're going to be in a lot of pain." And I said, "I'm also on a deadline." So I had my notebook right there by the table, and true to her word, when I came out of surgery, I was in a lot of pain. I rolled over and I started writing. So that one I wrote everywhere. Countdown to Lockdown was written, the countdown chapters were written on the road, and a lot of the other chapters were written at home when I had a lot of time to think about it. So there's like 4 or 5, and the story, not the story about Story Amos, but the story about Tori Amos was written in a hotel room in Dublin, Ireland over the course of 3 days. So it's got a world flavor to it, right? But some of the chapters in there that were written at home that I really put a lot of thought into are the ones that I hope people will carry with them and remember for a while. All right, Jeff, can we see if we have another young lady willing? I don't like to talk about that. No, I'm kidding. Do you know what? I just brought that question up to my son Huey, who's 7, and who doesn't have that filtering system yet. So he asked me just last night why I had a gray tooth. And so I told him, you know, son, that match that everybody asks Dad about every single day, making my life for the last 12 years seem like one endless replay of the movie Groundhog's Day. I said, there was a chair up on top of that cage, and when I went through that cage, the chair fell and hit your dad in the face and knocked out a couple of other teeth, and they put one back in. They put it back in? And I said, and they put it in milk so that it would stay vital. And then he asked me if I drank the milk. And I had to tell him that, you know, the tooth never really took. So I could replace it, but then every day I would miss out on that opportunity to relive that match over and over again. But it did hurt. And it hurts to talk about. All right, last question. Pressure's on now. Pressure's. Would you? Hold on. Can I ask? Are you two wrestling fans? Okay, I don't mean. He is, but not you. But you seem to be enjoying yourself, right? The hardest thing in the world is to convince people that they will have fun at anything I do if they're not really big wrestling fans. Yeah. Well, thank you. You would have had a great time in the Impact Zone last Thursday. Yeah. That was a good family environment. All right, but thank you very much for coming, for trying out. And we have, all right, it's not me that's not calling on you, it's Jeff who's not calling on you. So we have one last question. Okay.
It's me. Hey, Mick, I was watching the history of ECW the other night, and Tommy Dreamer was talking about, you know, how you got people to empathize with your character. And everybody knows, you know, wrestling is about, you know, how much they love the character, how much they hate it, how they feel for you. And I've always thought, you know, Flair was one of the people that, you know, that you're really emotionally invested in, but I don't think anybody was better than you. Talk about how you got people to, you know, feel your pain when you were off Hell in a Cell, took the chair shots from The Rock at Royal Rumble. How did you get people to be so emotionally invested in your character?
Well, those two